So a little later in this video, we're going to talk about the biggest pro of living in Coto de Caza, and it might surprise you. And it has to do with something that Sean is very good at, why he is, in my opinion, the best real estate agent in the world.
I'm sure that there's some bias there, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased, but regardless. But first, let's get to one of the cons. And I would say, you know, we're obviously splitting hairs here, but it does get definitely hotter in Coto de Caza than maybe, because Coto de Caza can definitely have like comparable prices to the coast, right? So it does get hotter here. So if you're looking for that absolutely perfect weather, like Coto de Caza is on the hotter side.
Yeah, so again, and we're gonna get hate messages and stuff because we say this, because people go, the weather's great, and it is. We're not taking anything away from how good Coto de Caza's weather is, but remember, we are in Orange County, the best weather in the world, and if you were splitting hairs, there's nothing in the world that compares to the coast, like the little coastline of Orange County. You just can't be. I mean, that's like the caviar weather, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. So as you go further inland, you know, even like a few miles, you do feel, okay, it gets warmer, and it gets warmer like during the summertime. So it's just one of those things to be aware of, that it is going to be on the toastier side. And as Orange County people that, you know, that live in Orange County and have, you know, grown up here, although according to in San Diego, it's very similar weather, of course.
Yeah.
But basically, like, your sister actually lives in Dallas, and the weather's brutal there. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And even her coming out here, it took her not a day to kind of go, okay, you know, like, I'll let you kind of recap that one.
Yeah, so she's used to like 110. That's what it was when she left. She came here, and then because it was like 72, she was like, it's a little hot. So we're just saying this because if you decide to come out here to move to Orange County, you're gonna become the same weather wuss. Like, that is
snob.
You're a snob, exactly. If it's not perfect, you're gonna be complaining. So Coto, not perfect.
Great, but not perfect.
Exactly.
It's like a diamond, right? So the coastline is a flawless diamond. Inland Orange County is internally flawless. So like one step up, but not flawless. So that's just one of those things to just be aware of, that it's gonna be, again, on the warmer side. And with these homes being, again, median year build about 1994, some of these homes have, you know, older AC systems, and the older the system, obviously, you know, they have a certain lifespan, and efficiencies tend to go down year over year. So just be aware that your electric bill, if you have an older system, is going to be a bit on the more pricey side, especially in the summertime.
Yeah, especially because electricity in California is very expensive.
So before we continue, I'm Sean Dezad.
And I'm Courtney Dezad, and we are licensed real estate agents here in the state of California.
And if you're watching this video, you might be going, Sean, I love Orange County. I love the glitz. I love the glamour. And of course, I love this amazing weather. And I can't wait to move out there now. But the problem is that I'm not in the area, I may be out of state, and maybe even out of the country, and I don't know what to do. And I totally get that. That's why you want to reach out to us, so we can have that conversation and find out specifically what you're looking for. And we can be your boots on the ground. We can do these virtual tours of these various properties in the area, so you could be in the comforts of your own home or your area without having to come out here. And then we can help you locate that amazing property. And then you can come out here and make sure that, you know, that property works for you. So that's, you know, what we have to offer. So if you're interested in that, give me a call or shoot me a text.
Yes, that number right there, that is a cell phone, so you can call or text, or you can email us. So now let's go to a pro.
Okay.
And so one good pro is that you have a lot of highly ranked schools around you. So the schools that you're zoned for have good ratings, according to the rating sites, niche.com, greatschools.org. You're part of the Capistrano Unified School District, which has a lot of really cool charter options. A lot of people around here, they don't even go to the school they're zoned for. They go to schools that are either charter schools, or they might go to some of the language immersion programs that are in Capistrano, whether that's Spanish or Mandarin. So there's a lot of options. And then you have Santa Margarita High School, which is a private school, which is another good option for anyone who's living here. It's something that, you know, a lot of people choose.
Yeah, both Tesoro and Santa Margarita High School are just outside the gates. So you're not like, you're really close to those particular high schools. And so as you mentioned before, there was talk of putting schools within the gates, but that just creates a whole other level of complexity, because now, you know, students and their parents can get through the gates, and that's kind of defeating the purpose of having a gated community.
Yeah, so since you are talking about gated, let's talk about the fact that Coto is gated. That is a huge pro. That's something that a lot of people call Sean wanting. So
yeah, they want them some gates, and it's like with Coto, it's kind of interesting. So it's a given that you're going to be in a gated community because all of Coto is gated.
Yeah.
Now, what layer of gate do you want? Because there are like actual subdivisions within Coto, like the Summit is one, and there's several others that are actually gated communities within the gated community of Coto. So you have 2 layers of gates. And then you have places like the Forest that actually, these homes are so large that they just have, their whole estate is just gated in and of itself. So it's like, what level of gate do you want? Coto can provide it for you.
Yeah, But I will say that, there's gated communities all over Orange County.
Yes.
Coto is a little bit farther away. It's definitely a little south, definitely a little east. So if you're having to drive every day, especially if you're like driving to Los Angeles every day, it's a pretty far drive.
Yeah, and I whenever I'm talking with, a prospective client that's, reached out and they're interested, but let's say they do have to go to LA or wherever they have to commute to. One is, okay, how frequently are you commuting? Because obviously in this new world, we're dealing with, a lot of remote work, a lot of hybrid work, and then some obviously day to day, like actually going into the office. So it kind of depends on how your work schedule is and where it's located. So if your job is in the Irvine Spectrum, not too bad. I mean, it's not that far of a commute, and the Irvine Spectrum is the biggest job hub in Orange County in of itself. But if you're going to LA, I would probably recommend actually going more North Orange County, because again, unless you're totally fine with that commute, again, just be aware that commute to LA can be pretty brutal from here.
Yeah, for sure. And then I will say another con of Coto de Caza is that within the premises, so within the gates, not only are there no schools, like Sean was saying, but also there's really no commercial. There's 2 restaurants that are, at the club, the golf club, but really like you're going to be shopping and dining and doing all of that outside of the gates. A lot of people go into Rancho Santa Margarita or Mission Viejo, so yeah.
And when you refer to the golf club, that is the Coto de Caza Golf and Racket Club. So that's a fantastic, like a lot of amenities there, which is just amazing. However, yeah, they have 2 restaurants. Otherwise, you have to go outside the gates. Fortunately, you don't have to go very far outside the gates, like just outside the gates, like in Rancho Santa Margarita, which is the city that's, borders it. There's tons of like options. And then if you go down Crown Valley Parkway to Mission Viejo, you have the shops at Mission Viejo and you have a bunch of other shopping options. So you're not too far away from it, but within the confines, not a ton of stuff.
Yeah, and then since we are talking about within the confines, I mean, obviously behind us, you can see right here is the golf course, right? So that is a huge pro of Coto de Caza, is the wonderful golf course. And Sean and I were not going to pretend that we know much about golfing because we don't know anything. So honestly,
I know you have to get the ball in the hole. That's about like the extent of my golf experience here.
Yeah, so comment below if you actually know, is this a good course? I don't know. I honestly know nothing about
I've heard a lot of good things. Now, again,
Yeah.
when we actually have to say about this is that, so this is not obviously a membership that you get automatically for just being, living in Coto de Caza. This is something that you have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
And, initiation fees can be all over the place. It's like really, honestly, it's a timing thing. So it's like, depending on when when you want to join the golf club,
Mm-hmm.
that all varies. Oh, that's so cute. Look at that bird, well.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it just kind of varies. So what I say as far as the little hack goes is that whatever they tell you what the initiation costs are from, when you ask, just be aware that it could be actually way less or more depending on, when you decide, because again, demand varies with this kind of thing.
Yeah, so the HOA dues here are rather low, but that's because, so you have the Coto Golf and Racket Club, but you can't use those particular amenities unless you pay for them, and it is tiered, right?
Yes.
So one pro is that you don't have to pay for them if you don't want them. Con is that in addition to your regular HOA dues, if you want to use those amenities, then you do have to pay depending on which ones you're using. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so in Coto de Caza itself, so at the time of this recording, it's about $270 per month, and that takes care of the gated community, like the whole master planned aspect of Coto de Caza. Like many of the amenities, like the parks and stuff that are here, that's all covered. Now, however, if you want access to a pool, again, one thing is that a lot of these homes actually have pools in them themselves. So it's kind of superfluous to actually have extra community pools when you just don't need it. So, but if you want a pool membership, or, you want you want the gym and that kind of thing, then you can be part of that, where it's like a social membership to be part of, you get the access to the lap pool and the gym and all that other stuff. And then on top of that, you can, if you want a higher tier, then you have add tennis to that aspect, because they have tons of tennis courts there. And on top of that, if you want to be part of the golf club, then you have the golf course and all that other things.
Yeah, so then since you're talking about these tiered, levels of membership, I guess one con you could say, and this could be also a con of living on the coast, is that sometimes when you live in these really high-end communities, people can get caught up, I have to keep up with the Joneses. So you want to talk about that?
I mean, it's seductive because you do have these situations where, not everyone, but there's certainly going to be neighbors that are, living it up and, have the nice Ferrari and everything. So there is that temptation to keep up with them, right? To kind of one up them, or at least to keep up. So there is that temptation. Now, it reminds me of actually a good friend of ours growing, in college, where his father, this is getting way back when in Huntington Beach, he could have bought for about the same price, in Huntington Harbor, or just a run-of-the-mill subdivision in Huntington Beach. He purposely did not buy in Huntington Harbor because he didn't want to have that temptation of the keeping up with the Joneses. Now, in retrospect, that property would have been worth way more money if he actually bought in Huntington Harbor. Yeah. But at the same time, I understand that, wanting to avoid that temptation.
Yeah, for sure. So a big pro of Coto de Caza, and Sean mentioned before that the median age of homes here is 1994. So that means that it's got pretty low property taxes. Yes. It means like everyone's paid off their Mello-Roos.
Okay, so your property tax rate in general, again, this is, it varies a bit, but let's just say as a general number, it's about 1.1% of more or less your purchase price. Now, because of Prop 13, your assessed value doesn't vary dramatically from year to year. I believe it's about 2% per year maximum can go up. And we've seen property values go up 20% in a given year, and still the assessed value doesn't, incrementally goes up. It doesn't go up at the same rate as our true property values do. So having that, more or less, Coto de Caza is going to be mostly just that. So like sometimes you have these add-ons called like Mello-Roos, and that's for that's for newer communities, particularly built in the last 20 years, where there's all this infrastructure that had to be put together, right? Like they had to build roads, fire stations, police stations, schools, all that stuff. So there's this tack on to the property tax rate that can be rather significant, depending on the area. So good news about Coto is that I'm not aware of any that actually have Mello-Roos at this point. So that's just one thing to kind of, at least minimizes your bill a bit.
So another con of Coto de Caza is that it abuts, well, this is a pro and a con, right? So it abuts
to wilderness,
Cleveland National Forest, which means that it's beautiful and it's surrounded by, the beautiful golden California hills. I love running in here, but that means that you're at elevated fire risk. Homeowners insurance definitely higher in Coto de Caza because of that. So.
Yes, and so it's just one of those things to be aware of. I mean, I'm not aware of anything happening here that came up that as far as any fire issues, but it's not a zero likelihood chance, right? Though if there is elevated risk, just because again, with undeveloped land, brush fires can start, and that's just what, again, these firefighters do a fantastic job, but it still can happen. And so because of that, your fire insurance rates are a bit higher here for sure.
Yeah, and I will say, so we're born and raised Southern Californians, and for us, like, as long as we're not on the canyon, right, where like the fire is happening, for us, like, we're like, well, then I don't really view it as a risk. But that's us. Like, everyone's different. Like, we're used to it. So, we totally get it if it's totally too much for you. And obviously, you can reach out to us and we can give you a map from the Orange County Fire Authority. They tell you, like, what is the elevated fire risk all throughout Orange County. Yeah,
because you have to realize that, like, that front line obviously have a higher likelihood. Every layer, every row of houses that you're behind that, it's just like exponentially less. I mean, really. I mean, it doesn't really, because actually it is kind of funny. I actually had a showing last year where I was in North Tustin, and this home was literally right, like on the fence with that. Now, and even for me, being in Southern California, going, I wouldn't want that. I want at least a couple homes of buffer just to be on the safe side. Because again, the likelihood of that fire, like taking out a huge swath, is just very, very unlikely. Yeah,
I mean, you obviously do see it happen. Sometimes homes burn down, but it is rare, which is why it makes the news. So.
Well, and especially, and it's rare when it goes like, several rows in. Like, that's just super rare.
So now let's get to the biggest pro of Coto de Caza. And this is something that has really been hammered home to Sean recently because he's had quite a few clients that have not only purchased in here, but are interested in here. Coto has really been hot, at least in our little microcosm recently. So you want to talk about, obviously Coto's expensive. You want to talk about the value of Coto?
It's kind of funny because you think Coto de Caza is super expensive, Real Housewives of Orange County, all that stuff. It's not cheap. I mean, it is above the median price point of Orange County for sure. But for what you get, again, just the name recognition, the writs, like you're actually not even getting any benefit from that, in my opinion, as far as like the high price cost, because you're not paying that much. The value here is actually rather incredible. If you look for the attributes that what Coto de Caza has to offer, between it being gated, between it having like larger lots, larger homes, and on average, like you're getting actually very comparable prices to the surrounding areas where you're going, okay, well, if I want gated and and I want a bigger home and a large lot, Coto de Caza is really not much, if any, more expensive than the surrounding areas. And on top of that, you get to add the fact that it has that reputation, that prestige to it too, which is totally not even being factored in, which I'm going, wow, this is crazy. This is a crazy value. Like, I would choose Coto de Caza over a lot of the other surrounding areas around here. Yeah. Because you just get so much for your money. Yeah, Coto, it's honestly so nice. I mean, I'm not here as much as Sean, because Sean's always doing the day-to-day. I'm like in the office editing and, in my hole editing. So
But whenever I come out here with him, I'm like, wow, Coto is so nice. It honestly reminds me of like these big estates like in the Midwest or even like on the East Coast. Or to me, it has a very like, I feel like the English countryside. I mean, obviously it's nowhere near as
a little
green.
warmer.
A little warmer.
Doesn't rain as much.
Nowhere near as green, but it has that, you know, the feeling of like the horse properties, right? So it's just, Coto is so nice, and it's gated. That's something that a lot of the people that call Sean are interested in. They want the gated. Coto offers that. It's just a great value.
And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of California. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is when you give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call or text for all those people out there that do not like to call, just like me.